Hi everyone, I'm Mark Purcell. Chances are you know our guest today on Talk Shop with Team Rigid. They are shaking up the online world and inspiring woodworkers and pros alike to get out there and do it yourself. I've got Jeff with Yellow Fox Designs, Johnny Rocker, and DIY Tyler. Thanks for being here, guys.
Excited to be here.
All right, guys, so let's dive in real quick. I absolutely love the culture that you have created because for years we had this culture of, not wanting to get your hands dirty and not really go out there and try to build anything yourselves. And what you guys have created and started this snowball effect of, I'm going to show you how to do a few things, and it's really inspiring a lot of people to get out there, buy some tools, and try some projects themselves. Can you guys expand on that a little bit and kind of how you got started and what made you want to start doing projects and then posting about them?
I think one of the biggest things is the community atmosphere that we all share, and I don't think each and every one of us created it. We just expanded upon it, and there was always that person before us that helped us that next level and kind of showed us the way and inspired us to go further into our craft.
And inspired us to do the same thing that they did. So they built a project, got us excited about it, and we wanted to share it. And now we're starting to see that, and it's super cool.
There's like no competition either. It's like I don't think I've run into anybody who like wasn't willing to be like what joinery do you use on that? They're like, oh dude, this is how I did it, like step by step. Nobody's like keeping it all to themselves.
Yeah, and it's not a shame to say, you know what, I don't know, I'm going to reach out to this person. I mean, when I was coming up early in the community, I reached out to Tyler over here, and he was willing to share ideas because I mean we're not perfect at what we do, but we can at least, you know what, this person knows more than I do. I'm going to reach out to him, and every time I've reached out to somebody, I've got an instant response back saying, hey, you got to do this, this, and this, or maybe get this tool that'll help you do your job a little bit easier.
Yeah, and to elaborate on that a little bit, when I've reached out to people, whether they're like a celebrity in the game, so cool. They're all so down to earth. Every one of them that I've met quite a few now, and even spent some time, had some of them at my house, and they're not like your typical movie celebrity. They want to talk to you, they want to build with you, and they want to share it, so it's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, woodworking went through, kind of nobody did it anymore for a long time, and I think within social media has expanded that so heavily that you can build those relationships pretty quickly, where it's simply click a message, send, and
just a DM away.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And it's like I can how many times I'll shoot them a message, even to the point now that we know each other more through the community. But hey, that's a great job you did on that. That's awesome. I mean, I shot you a message the other day on your staircase. I'm like, dude, that's killer. Yeah. You're doing awesome on that.
And even to this day. Let's go back to when we were new in the game, how exciting it was when somebody talked to us about what we did. That's still exciting. Even though we might have a little bit more of a following, it's awesome.
Yeah. Or even if their skill set is like way higher than yours and they still like take the time to like realize like he's just starting out, like give him a pat on the back, it feels good.
That means a lot, though.
Like a master carpenter or somebody's like, oh, it looks good, man. It's like, I know you don't mean that, but thanks. Thanks for the encouragement.
Well, I think it's almost this sense of pride, and then also it's almost like what I've found is you're kind of part of a club, It's like a woodworkers club, and like you said, there may be somebody that's been doing it for 40 years who, his skill set is way beyond anything we could ever produce, but it's neat for them to see the next generation is interested in their craft, and so they want to kind of help teach the next generation, to make sure woodworking in general it does not die.
And Mark, I think this is a great segue into kind of why we're here with Team Rigid. And we talked about this last night over dinner, how cool it was when we first got mentioned by Rigid or they commented on something that we did, even if it's just a fist pump emoji. That means a lot to us to this day. And I can't even imagine for a guy that's just building his first thing, maybe with his first Rigid tool, tags Team Rigid in that, and then they see that big company, that cool company, say something is awesome.
I see. And never underestimate the power of a fist pump emoji. It still gets me jacked up. That's so neat. And I don't know, you guys were talking, and we were talking yesterday a little bit. Can you expand how just that sense of community and how I was actually surprised to find out you guys all knew each other before you actually came here, and from what you were saying, Jeff, is you were already kind of supporting each other. Can you talk about how you guys really kind of team up and work together to kind of build your following and pitch ideas off of each other?
I think the biggest thing is because yesterday was the first time we actually physically met.
Right.
Yep.
But through messages and broadcasts that we've done, and I mean, when I first came across these guys, of course, the first thing I see is their content and how good it is. But the biggest thing was when, I think you nailed it perfectly, you reach out to somebody, because I feel like I'm fairly newer to the game, but I could reach out to these guys and say, how did you do that? And they'd always instantly come back with a good answer, or I could check out a YouTube page or a video on there, and it would share such a wealth of information. And you guys hit it perfectly, where you didn't get judged if I was like a newbie. That we were trying to expand the craft of what we do, and we all have different styles of craftsmanship or different skill levels, but we're all invested in the exact same thing.
Yep.
I think a lot of woodworkers kind of remember where they started too. Like
Yeah.
when you start out, you remember being like bright-eyed and scared. And like, what's that kind of a joint?
Somebody
like
just
that?
handed me this
Yeah.
giant tool with a huge blade
Yeah.
on it,
And
and
you
I
all-
have no
yeah.
idea what to do with it.
And you always remember the first person who like took the time to like train you. And I don't, maybe some people forget it, but it seems like a lot of woodworkers keep that with them, and then they see a new guy coming along, and they're like, "Oh man, I remember what it felt like to be that nervous, like
Yep.
not know how to build anything." So then I love training new people, like, or just like sharing information with people who like know more than me or less than me. It's cool.
What would you say, because I know you guys have kind of helped support each other and you're checking out each other's projects and stuff. What would you say is your favorite project that one of these other guys has done?
Your Van Helsing collection is ridiculous.
Oh,
I love
That's
that
so
stuff.
cool.
It is.
It's nutso, man.
But the thing about it is, it's an expression of you, and that's why I love about furniture design, especially when you're building it for yourself or just free flowing. It doesn't matter what it is. It's
Right.
you, and that's why I respect your pieces so much because of that. Then
Yeah, it's just
your miter saw station's like, dude. I'm
Yeah,
like,
that thing is
I'm
crazy.
like,
That's the nicest
Borrow that
motorcycle station
idea
I've
and-
ever
yeah.
seen in my life.
I like to
And it's
think
got
of it
orange
as
on it, too.
Orange everywhere,
Yeah.
man. I like to think of it as drawers with a miter saw on top,
Yeah, that's
though,
right.
because I
Yeah.
needed the storage. But for you just did a cutting board recently. Something simple made out of scrap is real. We do that too. We're not buying all new stuff all the time to build the products that we're working on. So that's a great expression
That was
from
neat.
you.
The checkered one.
oh yeah, the Purple Heart and
Purple,
Ambrosia.
yeah, all the
Yeah,
different
that was
mixes.
cool.
Cool colors on that.
So where do you guys get your inspiration? Is it just out of necessity, like, I had a customer call me and I need to build this project, or what kind of gets the ball rolling in most cases for, hey, I want to build this?
For me, it's usually a need. I like to do that, and I think through our videos, it shows when I need it and when it's just something that I'm building subconsciously. Just maybe it's my demeanor when I'm doing it. I'm more excited about it if I need it when I'm building it, and it's for my family. So that's a big reason for ours. And then just going through the social media to maybe piece together 5 or 6 different ideas to get what we want. And then I sit down and design the piece, or design the cabinets that we need for the kitchen or something like that. And that's where we get going. Usually it's a need for us.
Okay.
It's cool because that's neat, because I have like almost with Helsing is like the total opposite of that. It's cool. You can have like different inspirations, because it's like Helsing's ridiculous and nobody, like, I don't need it. Like a ridiculous like vampire couch. But the
Who doesn't need a vampire?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, sorry.
I mean-
Everybody needs a vampire couch.
Yeah.
But no, that's kind of cool that inspirations can come from totally different places, and it still like gets you building.
And you don't
creating.
even know when it's going to hit you.
Right.
Like, I know you mentioned
Yeah.
you keep a notepad by you
Yeah.
all the time. You're drawing on the airplane
Uh-huh.
on the way here.
It's like I just sit in my man cave and
Yeah.
it's just all of a sudden, even something like in nature, and it's weird to say, but something will just like,
Yeah.
huh. And you'll sit there and I'll grab my notepad and I'll just sketch something out real quick or put a note next to it and just roll with it. Because I just remember one designer has nothing to do with woodworking, but Carol Shelby. Man slept with a notepad next to his nightstand every single night. And I always remember that because he created one of the most synonymous cars to ever hit the road. And for that, to have that inspiration where he always had a notepad next to his bed, and that's where the whole thing came from. So he woke up in the middle of the night and sketched something down.
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, I know you guys carry a notepad with you. you never know when inspiration is going to hit you.
And you get those Dr. House moments. My wife hates them. You'll be in a conversation and you'll be like, yeah.
Zoned out completely.
And you like have to go right into like when he solves the case.
See, I at least get the phone out. I'm like, mental note, real
Right,
quick.
yeah.
Oh yes, let's finish our conversation.
Yeah.
No, that happens all the time. We'll be talking, and then my wife's like,
Yeah.
"You're already back in
Yeah.
the basement,
Yeah.
aren't you?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
All the
Yeah.
time.
It's like, trust me, if
Can't
I
turn
don't
it
write
off.
this down, it's
Yeah.
gone
Yeah.
forever.
Right.
I like to take pictures of stuff that I
yeah.
see. Like this morning at the hotel we're staying at, the vanity that they have is open on the bottom. So that's storage that you didn't have before in a vanity. Houses that have maybe a small bathroom, you need that. That's a great idea right there. Took a picture of it.
Yeah, I also get all sorts of ideas just from like, I'll be on Instagram scrolling through and I'll see an idea and I'll be like, I like that, but I can
Yeah.
do this, this, and this. Or
Then
you see
grab this
two or
side
three
and put it
ideas
together.
and slam them together
Yep.
and come up with your own unique approach to something.
What would you say is your favorite or go-to material that you like to work with the most?
I think really depending on the client need or what inspired me that time, it could be anything from basic pine you get at the big box store to a lot of my modern-based furniture uses plywood. But then I get into the exotics like your Purple Hearts, your Ambrosia Maples, even into rosewoods, which are extremely pretty. But that's really been, when it narrows down to one specific source, it's a lot of times because there's so much rustic furniture that's in demand right now, pine at the end of the day, even though I hate working with it.
For a concept first build, like I love using poplar because it's a little harder than pine, and obviously it's cheaper for when you're building something ridiculous and you're not quite sure how it's going to turn out if you have waste or whatever. And the grain doesn't pop through like a painted finish. Like it's a nice, you don't have like the fissures like oak has, like those
Paints
deep.
insanely well.
Right, yeah, and it's easy to sand too. It's soft enough to still sand. But other than that, maple is like always my go-to for furniture.
I think it really does depend on what. Like you've seen where I've used MDF, I've used poplar, and lots of plywood for miter saw station. But I love working with walnut. I think walnut smells great. It cuts so easy, but yet it's still a hardwood. So walnut's probably my number one like hardwood to work with. But cherry's right there. Cherry's really
Yeah, I
nice.
like
Especially for tops, like tabletops and stuff, walnuts grain pops like crazy.
Yes.
Put a oil
Put some
on top.
oil on
Yeah,
that.
it's
crazy.
gorgeous for like bench tops and tabletops.
I love it.
Yeah.
So you guys have options to pick any tool out there. What really drew you to the Ridgid Power Tools, the Ridgid name, and what keeps you buying Ridgid?
I think the biggest thing, like any relationship you have out there, it's built on trust. While talking to a lot of guys around the table that we have here, is also through the community, they trust Ridgid tools. So I went out and bought a tool, and I bought another tool, and those tools have never let me down. I beat them up pretty well, and they still run like the day I bought them. And I continue to build that trust when I get another tool and I buy another one, and they just don't fail. They're fantastic tools.
They work.
They work, and it's like I can put it in a situation where I'm like, well, this is going to break, and it just keeps on going. And to have something that I trust and a company that stands behind it, number one, if something happens, I'm going to be taken care of. That means a lot to
That
me.
LSA is huge.
Yeah. And they're there in an instant when you have a question.
Right.
Whether
Exactly.
It's over Instagram or even Twitter, all them, you at Ridgid Power Tools, and they got something in minutes
Yeah.
back to
And
you,
they've
which
built,
is cool.
I mean, it's a strong relationship and it's
Yeah.
a strong bond. I mean, for a little guy in a garage to reach out to a big company and they take care of you, that means a lot.
Yeah, and I know the question we get a lot with the LSA is, there's this misconception that we won't back it up with pros. And I know, Johnny, you are a professional carpenter, and you beat the crud out of those tools day
Not
in
on
and day
purpose.
out. What does that mean for you to be a Ridgid fan and a Ridgid user, being a professional, that's your livelihood and
Right.
you're using them day in, day out?
Yeah, because your tools are your workhorse. And in construction especially, like whether you want to or not, you can be as careful as you want. Somebody's going to drop a board on them or it's going to fall off the stair loft or something. And knowing that you've got a company behind you that'll support you through that is awesome. Like there's always like the scary part in the back of your mind when you drop a tool, you're like, oh God, please work. You're like picking it up, like you don't even want to pull the trigger again. But knowing that with that LSA behind it and everything, it's a huge relief, an awesome backup to have as a contractor, yeah.
Okay. Tyler, what about you? And don't say that, I was walking through the store one day
And
and,
it
I
was
had an orange shirt on because
Right.
I always do, and hey, those are orange, so I'm going to pick you.
Yeah, I love orange. That's just a perk right now. But the tools work. So back when I first bought our house, I needed to get a new drill. I had the old NiCad 14.4. It was a different brand. So I had a different brand of lithium drill in my hand, and a Home Depot employee was like, this one's better. You can even replace the LED on there if it breaks, talking about the LSA. So I got it, and then it was either whatever, downhill or way uphill from there. I like to think uphill. The other day, I was doing some landscaping, cutting some pressure-treated landscaping timbers out there. I had all of my different rigid tools out there, you know, cutting away in this wet, nasty wood with the circular saw, and the tools just worked. And I'm throwing them down in concrete dust and dirt, pick it up and it works. And the 5 amp hour battery worked all day for me in the circular saw.
So let's talk favorite tools in your workshop or on the job site. What would be your favorite tool that you just genuinely enjoy using?
I would have to go with the Rigid 18 volt orbital sander. I use that tool in every single project I do. I mean, the old sanders where you had the cord and everything like that, I'd be going from one side of the table to the other side, and next thing I know, I'd be tripping over the power cord. It just makes my life so much easier. I can go from all the way around the project, sand it completely, and if you throw like a 4 or 5 amp hour battery on there, the thing lasts all day long.
Absolutely.
So I would say that's my favorite tool that I use. It's kind of my go-to tool. I mean, I use my miter saw, my table saw, and all the clamps that I've got for days, but there's just something about it. I love that little sander.
Never enough
Awesome.
clamps. The dust collection on that sander is pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah,
as
yeah.
well. I'm
Yep.
thoroughly impressed with it.
Yeah, it's really good. What about you, Johnny?
I love that sander, but I also love the square sander, the quarter sheet square sander. Doing like raised panel woodwork on like cabinet doors or drawer fronts or newel caps, stuff like that. It's awesome to be able to get on the crest of that beveled edge without ruining it or putting a swoop in it. And it's a new one for me. I just got it within the last few months, and since I got it, I can't put it down. Like, I use it for everything.
And we were talking yesterday too, another one that you use a lot is your cordless nailer, being a fellow trim guy.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, especially with like callbacks and punch outs and everything. There's like somebody left a piece of trim off or whatever, and you don't want to haul out a compressor, a hose, a nail gun, and everything. You just walk in there with that cordless.
Yeah, that's been a game changer for sure.
Yeah, I love that one.
Tyler, what about you?
We only get one. I'm going to break the rules and go with two.
Okay,
one
give
of
me
them,
two.
One of them's not really a tool. So, tool, I love the Stealth Force. It's quiet, it's fast, it's a lot faster than the older style, and my shop's in a basement. So, you know, once it's bedtime for the kids, I couldn't run that Impact anymore. And so I was kind of just leaving it on the shelf, never picking it up anymore. But then I got the Stealth Force, and it's life-changing.
It's fantastic.
Blow your mind. But I want to talk about, in my videos and all the time, people ask about this little everyday carry pouch that I clip on my belt. So back in the day when I would wear like carpenter jeans, I would throw screwdriver, utility knife, put the tape measure on type of thing. And I was like, this is not working for me. So I got a little side pouch that just clips on your belt so you don't have to slide it on your belt, and that goes on every time I walk in the shop. And that's got utility knives, it's got scissors, it's got the tape measure on there, it's got an ice pick on there, different markers, and screwdrivers with different handles so you can grab your Phillips without looking at it. And just little things like that save you so much time. So overall, like the thing I use the most is probably that, even though it's not a tool. It's
And
super handy.
for you, I know time savings is huge. And the most annoying thing is you could be, you know, head first into a project and you're, you know, you got momentum on your side, you're rolling, and then you got to stop what you're doing, try and find that tool that you need, and everything comes to a screeching halt until you
Breaks
find
the
that
flow.
one tool
Yeah.
to do one little tweak, and then you can get back to it. So I really like that.
Yeah, and that's why like the two screwdrivers, two different style handle, is you can reach down and grab it without taking your eye off of whatever's going on. How many times have you reached down, I don't want the flat, I want the Phillips type thing. So there you go, right there.
Yep. Well, this has been so much fun, you guys. Thank you for joining us on Talk Shop with Team Rigid. And a special thanks to Tyler, Johnny, and Jeff. Thanks for being here. Until next time, that's Talk Shop with Team Rigid.